Good evening. Foundry is bugged. It's so bugged that you'll have to excuse PrimetimeUGC while we are undergoing repairs. Still, we've managed to put together a good show for you, and we're also going to begin a tradition. More on that later. For now, enjoy the show that we tirelessly cobbled together for you.
Hey folks, I'm Cardinal Chulaski. Cardinal of what you say? I'm going to tell you. I'm with the religion that has the creation myth, the virgin birth, and the spirits that live on after they die. Yet we deny the possibility of life on other planets because it's just too unbelievable. Our God also bears a striking resemblance to Santa Claus, but that's not what I'm here to discuss. I just want to take up a few minutes of your time and exploit any guilt you may have hiding in that black, selfish heart of yours. I want to talk about feeding the harlots. That's right. Every year, these poor creatures go weeks or months at a time without putting a single thing in their mouths. Well, food I mean. They need sustenance just like everyone else, and I'm here to ask you to donate. Just look at them. It's enough to make you throw up. We've also gone through great pains to have some flies brought in to enhance the effect, but that's another matter. Each year we lose hundreds of these poor, impoverished, hungry whores to the ravages of hunger and diseases. And I'm not talking about the common cold here. Quite frankly, there are some alien venereal diseases that make syphilis look like a mild case of acne. There are also some sexually transmitted monsters that can easily bitch-slap all the penicillin in the quadrant, if you take my meaning. Sure, now and then the Resistance stops by and gives us some of their table scraps. To be honest, those bastards aren't much better than the Empire when it comes to making any significant sacrifices. Personally, they're all bloodthirsty killers, and I'm not sure if we'd be better off with them in power, but that's an argument for another time. Right now, I'm asking you for anything you can spare to help fill the bellies of hungry strumpets throughout the known galaxy. For just Isix a day, or Quatlus, Ren, Durax, Lek, shit, we'll even take Takari and Frang. But for just a pittance, we can ensure that you'll help to save one of these tainted tarts from a horrible fate. For a monthly donation of just, well, whatever, you can even sponsor a strumpet. That's right, you'll get an actual holographic representation of your Jezebel, complete with a detailed report on everything we feed your floozy. If she wolfs down a plate of rotting Zabu meat, I promise you'll know about it. You can also track her progress. We'll implant a subdermal tracking device so that if she decides to go back into business, you'll get your cut. After all, why should you be donating your hard-earned money while she's out earning and not kicking up a percentage? So please, answer this call. These tramps need your kindness, your compassion, your cash. And I'm sure you won't mind me pocketing a few slips of latinum to cover the cost of these PSAs. We're in the 25th century now. We still can't make one of these things without running headlong into union bullshit. I'm Cardinal Chulaski, and my blind faith is insane.
Foundry Challenge 7 voting ends soon. New projects for fleet miners. Could the Foundry editing woes be nearing their end? All this tonight on the news. Tonight's news is brought to you by Ryzen Motors. Ryzen Motors takes you to the sky and lets you float among the clouds. Leading the news tonight, could the troubled times for mission editing be coming to an end? As of late on July 13th, back-end work was being performed on Foundry systems, which at the time of this newscast seems to have greatly reduced, if not eliminated, the significant lag time many have experienced when previewing missions in the Foundry. This is on top of several patches that have removed the login errors many were receiving, bringing the Foundry back to a point that is almost where it was before the launch of the Legacy of Romulus. If this continues to hold true, and bravo and good show to the network engineering team at Cryptic for this. However, there are still reports coming in of players having issues with crashing to desktop, especially with Klingon Foundry characters. Stay tuned, as the story is likely to continue to develop. Recently, we've seen the release of the Next Generation era Romulan uniforms into the C-Store, not into the Foundry, yet of course. At present, we have no ETA on this, or on when the new Romulan Dreadnoughts will be released. The Dreadnought class consists of 3 styles, much like the Bortos, Odyssey, and Vesta lines. They consist of the Scimitar class, the Falchion class, and the Tulwar class. All of these are available in the C-Store bundled or separate, and they all come with unique consoles and standard bells and whistles. Second Dilithium Mine project has been released. This project enhances the mine's interior. Some of the flooring on the first level has been changed so you can see further below. EV suits are on display in several areas, and some of the walls have been removed to provide better views throughout the mine. Additionally, a new officer pack for the Duty Officer system has been released. This is the Romulan Survivor Duty Officer pack. It comes with a number of goodies in it, such as a stack of Gamma Quadrant commodities, alien artifacts, random Mark 12 consoles, dilithium mine provisions, embassy provisions, a Romulan Republic reassignment contract, and the grand prize, a Solobon cell ship. The Ryzen Festival has started on holodeck. This festival consists of floater races designed to allow players to acquire a Ryzen Corvette. Additionally, there are Horgon hunts and dance parties that give the player opportunity to earn new clothing items. The Tribble Test Reward has been released to players. This reward is a Nukura Tribble, which allows players to earn Nukura marks and gives several debuff bonuses. If you look in the Items tab in the C-Store, you will find this. My understanding is that this has been allowed for all users to have access to, not just the normal 1-hour players on Tribble when this was originally tested. A new guest blog was released involving podcast. Hey, like us. Impressive. Go forth to the forums and find this in the Galactic News Network section. Foundry Challenge 7 voting ends soon, July 24th, and if you wish to participate, now's the time. Go forth, play missions. Give feedback and vote for the winner. The winner, of course, will be chosen to be a spotlight mission. Massively recently visited Cryptic Studios and interviewed several of the developers, including Captain Gecko himself, Al Rivera, whereas also the GNT show chatted with Kestrel about all things Star Trek. And finally, Star Trek Online will again be appearing at Star Trek Las Vegas with a panel sponsored by Massively, along with Trek Radio. And that is the news. Good night, everybody.
Hello Stowe community, this will be the last part of my Back to Basics tutorial series. I hope that I've covered most of the basics and that you're encouraged to get in there and experiment. If there's anything that you're confused about, then you should go to starbaseugc.com. There's a long list of additional tutorials as well as a helpful chat room. In fact, your first task is to go to Starbase UGC and click Chat. Just click Connect and ask questions. Say hello, introduce yourself, etc. This chat is an amazing resource. At any moment of the day, there is an experienced Foundry author ready to answer your questions 24/7, which is much better than having you post a thread at the Stowe forums, which seeks help. These authors can help you with a big task that happens after you push the button to publish. And here, I can't stress this enough. Your work is not done when you hit the publish button. You have to get people to play your mission. This is not only necessary for just getting your mission out there, it's also necessary to get your mission to qualify for rewards. Here's how it works. When you publish your mission, it is in the review phase. It needs 5 plays to get out of the review phase, and then it needs around 20 to 30 additional plays before it will qualify for rewards. And that's if the system thinks that your mission is at least 15 minutes long. So this is a real challenge, especially given the state of the search feature, which might not even list your mission at all. And here are some of the things that you can do. Step 1. Go to Starbase UGC chat and ask for help. There are experienced authors there who know what you're going through, and they also are willing to help to play and review your mission to help it qualify for rewards. Step 2, create a thread at the Stowe forums that advertises your mission. Now, you might be reluctant or modest, but you can't be. If you want to get your mission played, then you have to promote it. Don't be shy. Other steps include create a thread at the Stowe forums, create a banner ad to put in your SIG at the Stowe forums, spam it all over the place. For every 50 times you post and essentially spam your banner, you might get one curious player to try your mission. Also, get a banner advertised on Starbase UGC. If you go to Become a Contributor, there are instructions to get your mission ad added to the rotating list of ads that appear at the top and bottom of every page and post. Also, go through the steps of becoming a writer for Starbase UGC. Then you can write a blog post about your mission, which will gain you further plays. Again, if you have any questions about making a banner or writing for Starbase UGC, ask the chat room. They can walk you through it. Additionally, you can go a step further and create a trailer for your mission. Here's a cool example.
My father is accused of aiding and abetting the Romulan attack on the Kittimar outpost. The Starfleet officer that rescued me was told by the Klingon High Command that I had no living relatives.
What Federation starship was the closest to the Kittimar at the time of the attack?
The USS Intrepid was the first ship on the scene, sir.
If that hypothesis is correct, the phenomenon we have just encountered would be a temporal rift in space.
A rift?
Possibly the formation of a curl loop from superstring material. It would require high-energy interaction in the vicinity for such a structure to be formed. The rift is certainly not stable, Captain. It could collapse at any time.
You don't belong in our time any more than we belong in yours.
Fate.
Fate?
That the universe will unfold as it should.
I wish we had more time.
More time. I think we have all the time we can handle. As it is.
This trailer was made using the demo record tool, which is not very hard to learn. If you already dabble in video editing, then the whole task is rather easy and fun. Captain P.F. Dennis also posted a nice tutorial on this tool, which is listed in the tutorials page. If you're so inclined, you can even make a page at Stowe Wiki. This is probably the most difficult and time-consuming task, at least for me, but it might generate a few plays. Oh, and I should also add that a great way to generate interest in your mission is to get a review by one of the various UGC-focused podcasts like the Foundry Roundtable, PrimetimeUGC, Foundry Files, or Podcast UGC. If you become active as a listener, leaving feedback on their shows and making them feel like they have a receptive audience, then they're more likely to think of you and your missions as something worthy of exploring and talking about. I know it might sound like favoritism, but that's just kind of how the world works. Post comments to their podcasts and send them emails, and having them review your mission can generate many plays. Also, the person who picks the Cryptic Endure Spotlight listens to these shows and their reviews. A good podcast review could become a spotlight. Overall, please keep trying, keep begging, keep spamming. If you want people to play your mission, then you have to promote it. You just can't rely on the Cryptic UI unless you've made an exploit that drops loot for shooting fish in a barrel. If you've made a story mission that you put your heart and soul into, then you have to put your heart and soul into promoting it. Everything, I repeat, everything is working against you, from the general nature of in-game content to the fact that it's an MMO. You will be asking people to enjoy a Star Trek story in a game that demands that the player fill buckets by pew pew, rinse and repeat. There are also lots of other sources of dilithium, and given the state of the Foundry, the frequency of bugs, etc., there are tons of players who just don't trust Foundry missions, or it's impossible for them to even know what is out there. Overall, you have to realize that you're writing missions for a small portion of the player base who just wants to feel like they're experiencing a Star Trek story instead of pressing F 300 times to get something that has no noticeable effect on gameplay other than convincing the player that he or she has the best shiny. So that's your mission, to remind players of STO about Star Trek, its lore, and its character-driven stories, to make them feel rewarded for simply feeling immersed in that lore, and to make them play the game in a way that no grinder has played before, to seek out new worlds, new civilizations, without obsessing over the stats of a culture's Mark 12 communications array, and to make them feel like they are playing Star Trek online. So go forth, Foundry authors, boldly go. Okay, thanks for watching all the parts of my tutorial. If you feel like you've learned something, please consider donating $1 or $2 to support Starbase UGC and what we do. If you scroll down here, you'll find a PayPal donation button on the right side of the page. Okay, thanks for watching and good luck.
Welcome to Primetime UGC's mini-mission review. On this episode, I'm keeping a promise. Before Foundry took a nosedive with the release of STO's Legacy of Romulus, Kirkfat and I played a mission for review. Though now this particular mission is no longer brand new, I promised to deliver the goods, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So here is our review of Hero of the Empire, a KDF mission by Rogue Enterprise. As usual, let's begin with story.
I don't want to give away too much here because the main story involves a really creative and interesting use of the Foundry. I'm not talking about some gosh wow technical trick. Instead, it's a really creative way to use maps and battles in an unconventional way. It enhances how the player experiences the story. The only parts that left me a little disappointed were the unanswered questions. Still, this is my favorite KDF mission by a long shot.
What I found new and innovative was the fact that the mission itself is only half of the overall story here. Rogue picked up on one particular trait associated with Klingons and ran with it. Their ability to spin and embellish tales of glory is legendary, and this is the focus of the mission. It is also a device that in less capable hands could have backfired, but in Rogue's hands, that is certainly not the case. We gave story 5 stars.
Now on to map design. There were some really creative things done with space sets. I thought some parts of the ground maps were highly detailed. I particularly liked the Klingon bar.
Yes, all the maps used were perfectly suited to the author's objective, and many of the maps were maps within maps within maps, but that falls into the tech category. Maps get 4 stars. And now on to tech.
I think the tech of this mission was awesome, especially the use of patrols for both ground and space NPCs. Tons and tons of work with triggers as well. This mission had every bell and whistle imaginable.
Agreed. And many of the triggers were there to change locations. After playing this mission, it was difficult to remember how many actual map transitions there were. You visited so many different locations, yet you never moved off a single map due to Rogue's skill with triggered environments. Tech gets another 5 stars.
And now on to difficulty. The only part that I found really difficult was the last battle with the Makos. I would tone that down. Otherwise, it was fun and challenging, and even though some of the battles were repeats of previous battles, they were still fun and interesting.
I have to agree with Kirkfat here. The Makos were a tough group. I died several times attempting to secure the bridge of a ship. Thankfully, my officers know a thing or two about CPR, but the respawn points were liberally placed just in case. Difficulty gets 4 stars. And that's our take on Rogue Enterprise's Hero of the Empire. We urge you to go out and play it for yourself. This has been Primetime UGC's mini-mission review. Here at Starbase UGC, we have become saddened by the failure of the new mission search to weed out exploits from among the many legitimate story missions and grinders from the listings. While we could discuss this at length, that isn't what I'm here to say. PrimetimeUGC would like to protest in its own small way by offering a Foundry challenge of our own. We'll give away ships. The first prize, a Tal Shiar adapted destroyer, will be given to the author who can create a Foundry mission with an emphasis on story with very little combat. We'd like to be engaged without the engagement. In the interest of gameplay, we do not wish to exclude combat entirely, but we'd like to see an exploration mission of some kind, more akin to an actual episode of Star Trek. In that spirit, let's keep this Federation only. Let us also keep it under 45 minutes. We'll have to play all the entries, don't forget. We will also be handing out prizes for second and third place. Those prizes are likely to be Mirror Hapax Warbirds as well as Mirror Assault Cruisers. We'll post this challenge on the Starbase UGC website as well, so head over to www.starbaseugc.com for details. Good luck, Foundrites and Founditarians.
Welcome to Kirk's Fat Assets. In this edition, I'll be counting down the top 10 assets in the Summer Horizon map that I'd love to see in the Foundry. Without further ado,
Number 10.
the big vase with the plant. We already have some vases and also one with a plant, but more of these details would be nice. Stuff like this helps us add those little details to our maps that make them stand out. It's also a nice prop that could fit many types of settings from Vulcan to Ancient Rome.
Number 9.
The fires with the fire pits. Yes, we have some fire props and maybe a few places to put them, like empty plant pots, but this combination of assets looks very nice. The fire is much more realistic than the FX fire props we currently have.
Number 8.
The stairs. Of course, it's possible to build stairs with the platforms or walls, but having this prop would save lots of time as well as cut down on the amount of props we have to devote to making a set of stairs.
Number 7.
This light. The more ceiling lights, the better. It could be used on all kinds of custom sets, including homemade transporter pads. More lights, please.
Number 6.
These chairs. They may seem a little too frumpy for an admiral's office, but they'd be nice in other settings. We just don't have enough furniture in the Foundry. Creature comforts like these are nice additions.
Number 5.
Her. The things I would do with her.
Number 4.
A square panel of this glass. We have some glass panels in the Foundry, but they're a pain to work with. Just a plain, flat, square piece of this glass would help so many authors.
Number 3.
The wooden walkways. They blend beautifully with the rope bridges, and we could do a lot of cool things with them, especially if they fit well with each other via some kind of square connecting piece.
Number 2.
The water. Right now we have only one map where a large surface area is covered with water. It'd be really nice to have a larger map that is only water and nothing else. We have something close to that with the Barge of the Dead map, but because it's mischaracterized as an interior, we can't really build on it as an exterior. Having a map that is only natural looking water would be awesome.
Number 1.
The outdoor transporter pad. Right now we have an interior transporter pad that's difficult to use on a ground map. If we had this circular prop, we'd stick it on everything. Please, make it so. And that's been this edition of Kirk's Fat Assets. Stay tuned for the rest of the show.